Hello everyone, I'm Tech Bob and welcome to eTech Facebook Live Fridays. I have our master tech Hector here. He's going to be doing the hands-on demonstration today while I kind of annotate the video and answer any questions you may have. Before we get started, I wanted to cover exactly what we're doing today. I know the post said that we're doing rear camera replacement or camera lens replacement on an iPhone, but there's two scenarios that you're going to run into when doing a rear camera lens replacement. One is if the lens is chipped and there's pieces missing, and then one if it's just cracked but there's not a piece missing. The reason it's important to understand the different scenarios is depending on what you have to repair it a certain way. The one we're going to start with today is the phone on the left. It's the one that it has a chipped lens, so there's pieces missing. This one you can do without opening the phone, which is important to note that because if the lens is not chipped, you will have to go with the second scenario, which we'll show next, and that's you fully opening the phone, because if you don't do that, you risk damaging the camera. The rear camera lens is fairly inexpensive. I would say in most cases the set is sub $2-3, but the camera itself, the camera assembly, if you damage that part can vary from, I would say on the low end, $30 to now some cameras, especially on the 13 series, are close to $100. And not only that, but when you replace the cameras on the newer iPhones, you get the message that says not able to verify genuine part. So you don't want to get stuck in that scenario. So as mentioned, we're going to start with this is an iPhone 11 that Hector has in front of him. This one has the chipped camera lens. I'm gonna zoom in the camera real quick just so you have a better view. Move up a little bit, Hector. Oh, like right here? There you go. You're in view there. So if you can work on it there. So as you can see on this lens, it has a pretty chipped rear camera lens. Hector's going to remove that lens without opening the phone. So he's going to start off with the tool he has in his hand. It's really meant to remove underfill when you're doing board level repair like chip removal or chip replacement. But that hook blade is good to really start picking at that glass, because the goal in this specific scenario is to pick the glass away without damaging the camera in the center. So you can see he's poking it away. And in this specific scenario, it is not recommended to use heat. And the reason for that, again, is that rear camera assembly is very sensitive. And if you do end up using too much heat, you may run into a problem where the camera either does not focus anymore, or you have those little black blotches on the screen. And I will say this is one of those processes where it does require patience, as if you rush it, again, all it takes is one slip and that blade hits that rear camera module on the inside. And if you're worried about potentially damaging that rear camera, there's no concern there. I mean, there's a reason to be concerned, but if you're worried about it, then you would just need to go with scenario 2, which in some cases will take a little bit longer. It's not the end of the world, but it does require you opening the device. But it is safer because, again, you won't end up damaging the rear camera. Now, the concern may be like on the iPhone 12 and 13 series where they're more difficult to open, to have to just change the rear camera. I would say once you figure out opening the screens without damaging them, either using the Apple machine or using the manual process with alcohol, heat, and just, again, patience and suction cups, you should be fine. But again, if you're not comfortable with this process, which Hector is showing right now, then I would go with option 2, which would be to open the phone. And you saw as he got that glass kind of freed, he brushed it away because you don't want those shards to get stuck in there. He's using a little bit of air. You can use compressed air, canned air. Just be very, very careful. You don't want to be right on there. Go up a little bit, Hector. There you go. Yeah, you don't want to be right on it because you don't want it to have that like frost effect on the camera module, and you also don't want it to blow too harshly on the lens because you risk scratching or again damaging the focus part. So he's switching over to the bigger blade now. This is used to remove the remainder of the glass that's on there. Again, when you're doing this, the goal is to just get underneath those chips of glass and try to stay as flat as possible to where if you do slip, you slip outwards and not into the camera itself. The cool thing is the rear camera lens just kind of sits in here, so you don't have to worry about the like if you do scratch that inner part of the ring, like where the glass is sitting, you won't see it because that black part of the rear camera lens covers it. And thankfully, there's not a whole lot of glass here. It's not like doing a back glass replacement where you have to remove a lot more glass. Once you get that started, it's fairly simple. And I would say the hardest part of this process is getting that initial insertion without damaging anything. Once you get past that, as you saw, it's just relatively simple cleaning it from there. And while Hector's finishing up the cleaning process here, I'm going to talk about testing real quick because it's a really important part of this process. One of the things that you want to make sure of after you finish removing the lens is that the camera is undamaged, because if it is damaged and it was not before, you need to notify the customer. Obviously, it should have been tested before even starting this process. I would always preface this type of repair with the customer that you don't know for sure if the rear camera module is damaged yet until you remove the lens, because the most common issue when you have a really badly damaged one is you'll have little black shadow spots on the rear camera. It's kind of hard to see at first, and the customer might not have noticed, but when you point it at like a white background, like a wall or a piece of paper, you'll see those blotches, and replacing the rear camera lens will not fix that. You will have to actually replace the camera in that case because it has that blotch on there. But this phone, I believe, is one of our tester phones, and it's like locked, so we're not going to test it today on this one, but you would want to make sure that you are testing it. So next thing, as you see, Hector brought the E8000 glue in the lens, so you can put that back there, the adhesive, just to show it. So the majority of our camera lenses do come with a double-sided adhesive, it's a 3M type tape. The reason we prefer not using that versus the E8000 is E8000 is better for water resistance. It helps form a seal around the lens. Not only does it help prevent it from falling off, but also it helps seal it from water getting in there easily. I would say the easier one to apply is definitely the double-sided adhesive, but again, it's an option if you want to use it. I would recommend using the E8000 versus the double-sided because you get that better seal. And what you're doing here is just going around the perimeter, just a real thin bead, just to where you have it everywhere. And when you push the lens in there, it'll kind of seep up and around the edges. You just have to clean it off. You definitely don't want to go too heavy here, because if you do put too much, it is possible to seep into the camera area. You'll have some issues. Worst case, you have to pop it back off, but it's not the end of the world if that happens. I see it. Apologies if anyone who's watching. It's jumping around for me. It might be our internet connection or something. I'm not seeing that it's cut off, but Facebook was doing something weird. So keep on watching. We're still definitely going. Hopefully it doesn't pop up again. But as Hector's placed that lens on there, the biggest thing you want to make sure is you don't touch the inside of the lens, because if you put a fingerprint or something on it, it's very hard to clean the inside unless you take the phone apart or remove the camera lens again. So what he did was clean off that excess glue that seeped out. Just a little bit of alcohol and a microfiber works well, but there you can see the lens was fairly shattered to begin with, and now it's brand new again. So again, pretty quick process for option one. Option two is the longer one, which we made it shorter today just for the sake of the live video. So you can see this is an iPhone 13 with a scratched lens. We've already done some pre-work on this phone just to, again, shorten the process, but if Hector flips it over, what you'll notice is that the phone's already disassembled. He also removed the brackets and screws holding the rear camera in. So what he's going to need to do first is disconnect the rear camera. Hector's used to using tweezers because he micro solders, but you definitely want to use a spudger in that case just to avoid damage to anything. But he's got those cables disconnected, camera removed, and that's basically it. So, I mean, that part that he has in his hand, I might be a little bit off on this, but I believe it's at least a $50 part, so you don't want to damage that. That's why we're doing this process right here. So now that the camera is removed, you're safe to use heat. So he's going to take the heat gun, apply a little bit of heat on the outside, because you don't want to damage anything on the inside of the phone. There's still some flex cables that are sensitive, and then this is the secret technique that our techs will use. If you look closely, you'll see that screwdriver, It's referred to as the iPhone 6 screwdriver. It's basically used to remove that one little nut screw on the iPhone 6s's. Because it has such a wide head to it, it's perfect for using it to press the lens out. So all you're going to do is heat up this area, press through, and as you saw, he just popped it out. He makes it look super easy, which it takes a little bit of practice to get it that easy, but it almost came off in one piece. So I think, is that all of it, Hector? Do you have a little chip left?
No.
Oh, that's it. So you got it all off in literally 2 pieces, or it shattered more, but you saw that was fairly easy to do. So again, the caveat to this process is you do have to not fully disassemble the phone, but you have to go inside of the phone versus the other one where you were just able to pry it off without having to take anything apart. And then same process here, you want to make sure you clean off any type of shards of glass that are left. You grab your camera lens and you put it on there. And I believe these are the same one, right, Hector?
Yes.
Yeah. So some phones will use the same one, but again, if you did have different ones, you want to make sure you put the right one there. And same exact process as the iPhone 11 he just did. We're going to get a fine bead of E8000, put that around there, and then put the new lens on. Cool. New lens is on there. Did you already clean it off, Hector? I don't know if I missed it. Okay, it's cleaned off. So that's basically it for the rear camera lens replacement. Again, it's not a complicated process, but there are 2 ways that you could go about it if you're doing the repair. Before we finish the stream today, I did want to mention that what we're doing going forward to try to drum up audience participation and suggestions for what you guys want to see for content. If you suggest an idea or say, hey, I want a video on how to do this repair, and we end up choosing your idea for Facebook Live, we're actually going to begin giving away items. So the items you see on the right-hand side of Hector, the E8000 tube adhesive, the iNeasy set of tweezers, that iPhone 6s screwdriver, and the blade holder. I'd like to thank Black Hills iPhone Repair, or Black Hills Repair. Chris Carey of the company actually asked about this type of repair, so because he suggested it, we're going to be sending these items in his next order. So if you have any recommendations or ideas for future ones, let us know and you may get some stuff thrown into your next order. We're going to try to keep the items related to the stream, so if it's involving tools or involving a part, we may throw in like a screen or some type of accessory, but just let us know what you want to see, and if your idea gets chosen, you may end up being chosen to receive some free stuff. So I hope this video was beneficial to everyone. As I mentioned in the past, what we do, if you miss this live stream, what we do is export the videos and put them on our YouTube channel, and they are saved to Facebook too. We refer to these a lot because it's easier than being on the phone call and trying to explain this without having a visual. So definitely important to take a look at those or bookmark them for future things, especially if you have new texture training in your repair shop. Things like this are super important because the difference in watching this video could be breaking a $100 part, and I mean obviously that would be a costly mistake. But that's all we had for today's video. Thanks everyone for joining. Again, if you have any suggestions for the next one, let us know in the comments, and we'd be more than happy to address that. Have a great weekend, and we'll see everyone next Friday.